What's happening, y'all? Your eyes and ears don't lie. Back at you to talk about the ridiculousness I'm hearing from these cabinet members and these advisors and all these people in the Trump administration that are just saying the most horrible racist shit like it's nothing, and they have no fear of accountability or any backlash because they don't care. They know at this point that they control enough of the government that they're going to bully people into agreeing with them or at least shutting the fuck up. You know, I'm listening to them talk about how Kristi Noem and some of these other ones talking about how the alligators can eat 65 million people. They got a diet of 65 million people. And that's a pretty specific number, 65 million people, where you made it a point to say that and you were laughing and giggling when you said the shit. Well, by the census estimates in the federal government, they say that there's, around 65 million Latinos in the country. So you guys are basically not giving a fuck and hoping the alligators eat all the Latino people? Y'all some real pieces of shit, like for real. And this behavior is acceptable to y'all because you're racist. And, a lot of this MAGA movement is about racism and white nationalism, where they've spoken for a long time about their country getting stolen, that there's too many people of color, and that these conservatives, especially these church-going people, have been saying for a long time that white people ain't having enough kids. And I kind of brushed it off. I didn't really, whatever. But if you listen to them talk, you got these politicians talking about they're tired of DEI on television and they not buying no product that doesn't have a white person in the commercial. And you saying this out loud, like this ain't behind closed doors or at the dinner table when it's just you and your family. You are making the most horrible, unacceptable public statements, and you don't give a shit because you're appeasing your voters and this orange-faced gremlin Trump, because that's how he feel. Because y'all would not be doing this stuff unless it was sanctioned, requested, or driven by him, or at least okay with him. Because they don't have no backbone. This whole bill got passed because he made threats and that was it. All these Republicans know that this bill is not a positive for anyone but the rich. It's going to decimate their particular states more than anybody. So there's not mutiny in this movement as far as the politicians and the advisors and all these people that are speaking publicly on behalf of the Trump administration and shit, Homeland Security. So he's pushed from the first time around the white replacement theory. And what is that? That's the theory that the left, the Democrats, are trying to bring in all these people of color so they can vote, which is bullshit, because if you're illegal, you can't vote. We already know that. To take over your country. And a lot of people say that's ridiculous. It is ridiculous, but you got to look at it from the side of ignorance and racism. And one thing that people don't really realize is that in 1980, white people were 79.9% of the population. By estimates, that was just say 80% of the overall population, with 181 million people. That's 1980. You fast forward to 2025, white people are 57.8 of the population. 57.8, down from 80. For a number of 191.7 million. So in 20 years, or excuse me, not 20 years, in 45 years, the population has only grown 11.7 million for white people. But you look at our total population right now is around 347 million. It's everyone else who has grown. And the fastest growing community here is the Latino community. So that's what he's targeted them for. And that's what he's used to convince these racist, radical idiots that they have stolen your country, and I'm here to get it back for you. It's not about nothing else other than that. You look at his first term, in 4 years, Obama deported more people than him in his first term. And even in the second, he deported more than his first term. And both terms deported more people than Trump did. Biden's 4-year term deported twice as many people as Trump did in his first term. So these numbers they're throwing at you, they're bullshit, and they're verifiable that they're bullshit. Biden didn't let no damn 20 million people in. They estimated there were about 11 million, 11.5 million. But they don't never mention the millions and millions that he did deport. Because he deported a gang of people. In the 4 years Biden was in office, he deported a lot of people with expedited removal. But that don't fit the narrative that they want to tell. The same reason that this orange-faced gremlin refused and told everybody on the Republican side to not work with Biden or the Democrats on border security. Because if we do something noticeable that really impacts and fixes the border, he don't have nothing to run on. Because he only running on hate. Hate and concepts of a plan. So, this is not to try to enrage the public and make you feel like all white people are racist, because they're not. There's no one group that you should single out and say they're all hateful. Every group has bad seeds. Every race has bad seeds. But this is the message they're sending to the constituents that are eating it all up and feel the same. And I didn't know these numbers. I was born in 1980, so I ain't thinking about no damn population in 1980. But when you start looking at the drop of 20% in 45 years, they weren't lying about some of those numbers when they talked about you won't be the dominant population by 2040, 2050 if you don't do something from the minds of these racist hate mongers. So how do you get your country back? You get rid of the group that's going to challenge you population-wise. And this is not to say I support illegal immigration, because I don't. I feel like we're a country of laws. Of course, America was created on stolen-ass land. We know that half this West Coast and middle of the country used to be Mexico till they started a war and stole that shit. The Mexican-American War. You stole that shit. You had a superior military at the time, and through bloodshed, you took the shit. That's in the history books, but you're trying to destroy all negative aspects of U.S. history because you want to make it seem like you're the best thing since sliced bread. So anything that paints you in a negative, look, you want to get rid of, whether it's true or not. Slavery, that's why you want to get rid of it, because it defeats the narrative of you being so great and righteous. That's why you got control of the education board and you're doing what you want to do, because you want to erase history. You want to erase all of your faults. So if you tell a lie long enough, there's nobody around to dispute it. So you want to reprogram the public to your bullshit. As you tell people, we don't want kids of today to feel bad about what their ancestors did. Bitch, please, that ain't why you doing it. You don't care about nobody. You just want to paint this bullshit image of yourself. And that's it. An ignorant population is easier to control. So that's what you're doing. You're trying to reprogram people. This is your way of hitting Control Alt Delete, and you just hard booting the computer back again to put whatever bullshit you want in. And we ain't having it. There's a lot of people that know what's up, and they're not having it. And I got plenty of friends of all races and ethnicities. And you know what some of my most angriest friends are? They're a lot of my best friends, because I grew up in an affluent neighborhood where I grew up around more white people and Asians than I did blacks. So we didn't ever have no color issue. There were some great families that, I don't know if it was a military thing or what. You know, growing up where I grew up, first it was Camp Pendleton where I was in the Oceanside area. Then I was in, you know, the Mira Mesa Scripps Ranch area. And that's where you had the Navy there. So it was diverse. It was a melting pot of everybody. And never once did we ever see any of this kind of bullshit. Everybody's kids play with everybody's kids. All the families associated with each other. We knew everybody on the blocks. Everybody knew everybody. So I got some friends that are really angry as fuck at this shit. And they're also angry from a personal aspect of, you got everybody thinking we all racist because he's in charge pushing these racist beliefs. So they're angry at the image that he's portraying of Americans, especially white Americans, because there's a lot of them that aren't with this bullshit. And my good friend told me, he's like, man, I hate this shit because we getting a raw deal because, you know, when we're out and about, people is looking at us like we Trump supporters, and they not, just because he's done well for himself and he has money. So he's just automatically assuming that people look at him that don't know him thinking he on the bullshit because he got the beard and he fits the stereotype that people who don't realize my appearance don't matter. It's the words that come out of my mouth and the behavior I exhibit. And I never looked at it from that perspective because I just really didn't. And he told me one day how fucking mad he was at this bullshit and that it sucks because people throughout the world are thinking we all like this. And you can't judge a book by its cover. I encourage everybody else out there, man, listen to somebody's words, talk to them. Don't make your mind up on how you think they are. Don't put your words into their mouth. I don't dislike anybody until they give me a reason to. Everybody starts out, I know everybody says that, you know, you should respect everybody. No, respect is earned, but I'm just not going to dog you. Now, if you start talking about this MAGA shit and all that bullshit, then that tells me all I need to know about your morals and your beliefs. Because don't tell me that you're a good person and you on this MAGA shit. It's the same idea of you trying to tell me that the Nazis that supported Hitler were good people. Nobody views history and thinks that the Nazis that supported Hitler are good people except these MAGA motherfuckers. They're the only ones that don't see the parallel of how Adolf Trump is acting and behaving and what he's doing in this country with Nazi Germany. In other countries where you had power-mad dictators that were attacking their constituents and their citizens. So the only way you're going to make change and defeat this evil is to get members of his shit to see the light. And I know that's hard because, I mean, how many of y'all tried to talk to a pet rock? These people got brick heads and their decision wasn't made predominantly on facts or policies. It was made on some other bullshit that you probably can't really change. The only way they'll change their mind about this dude is if the results of their decision, voting for him, really fucks them over. Because it's like I always say, they're not angry at the behavior. They're angry at the impact that it's now having on them that they didn't consider. You didn't give a shit about the way he was attacking immigrants for deportation till your farm is fucked off, till your construction company has no workers, till your hospitality places got nobody showing up, to where your golf courses got no landscapers coming out. That's when you cared. You didn't care about tariffs or any of that shit until your 401k dropped, or you lost some money in your investments from this market manipulation shit he doing, in addition to this bullshit of illegally implementing tariffs. So you get no pass from me, and nobody should give you a pass, because there's a difference if you just said, you know, he's doing some things that are unacceptable and I don't agree with. That ain't what it is. Y'all don't agree with the result of his behavior that's impacting you. You got no problem with the behavior as long as it fucks over somebody besides you. And then once it fucks over you, you got beef. This shit in Texas, that's a result of these Doge and these bullshit cuts. You had weather people at the National Weather Organization that they can forecast for these things. They sent out warnings, but because the personnel wasn't in place to contact everybody necessary to prepare a plan, nothing happened. They're saying that they didn't know the minimum staff that you left in place since you forced everyone out with the threat of firing them. You got rid of 45 people that's what they've been doing for years, is preparing the public for natural disasters, weather-related disasters. And then once they did try to notify some people, because you weren't staffed enough to reach every local government person you were supposed to and create a plan so they would know what to do, you got rid of those people. You decided, I'm going to get rid of them. You're going to kneecap FEMA. You took $600 million of money from FEMA, and this ain't just some fake news to talk shit about the Trump administration. Kristi Noem said it. You can Google it and look at the article. They took $600 million. That alligator Alcatraz shit, they built that with $600 million of FEMA money, and it just fucking flooded the first time you had a heavy rain. Flooded the whole $600 million place that you used FEMA money on. I'm in California, and you know, since we invested in our early warning system, and I know y'all haters, oh, California. Well, you know what happens when shit go down here? We all get text messages on our fucking phones that give us the warning of fires and earthquakes and flash floods. We got an early warning system that notifies all the cell phones in the state. So y'all can have your no state taxes and less government overreach and shit or whatever, but your broke asses is dealing with disasters by yourselves. And that shit is tragic. The loss of life and these children at this camp for something that if you had everything in place that you should have, you could have saved these people. And of course, a lot of them are upset and angry, especially the ones that know what happened and how intertwined the disaster preparedness is with the weather alerts and FEMA. Governor Abbott and your local politicians, they didn't approve the money that was requested to create an early warning system that would have notified you guys all on your cell phones, that would have sent out automated calls to your landlines, like we get here. And I'm sure we ain't the only state, but you guys chose to, you said no when they asked for the money in the budget. Why? Because you guys you put a value on life, and to you, it's nothing. You don't value nothing but self-enrichment. And this is where your supporters really need to see. They don't give a fuck about you. They used you to win. But the decisions they're making with these bills and how they're actually treating you, It's like you a domestic, they treat MAGA like, y'all like a domestic abuse victim, where they slap the shit out of you and you say, thank you. Hit me again and put some stank on it next time.